to really have it as a memorial place and almost like not just leave it as a house lah.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm with you on that also. And I mean, for people who are new to here, don't think I'm not a sentimental person.
But you just said you want to demolish the whole thing so you can move past it. That's what you said.
The holiday season is coming up soon, and I'm sure you want to get Christmas gifts that are meaningful, unique, and heartfelt. You know, something that really shows gratitude to a loved one, that lets them know how much you appreciate them, right? Now, it's not easy, but we've got the perfect idea to help you do just that. An audio recording of you sharing your favorite stories and memories of a special someone, delivered in a Bluetooth speaker styled as a good old mixtape. Say hello to our Folklory cassette. All we'll need is a 30-minute phone call with you or someone you nominate, and we'll turn that conversation into a podcast that your loved one can listen to the moment they receive their personalized cassette. It'll come preloaded with your recording, and it's a unique gift that your loved one can bring with them wherever they go. We launched this last year, and our entire batch was sold out for Christmas. People loved it, which is why we are offering it once again this year. So order by 31st October to guarantee a cassette delivered to you by Christmas. Slots are limited, so the earlier you book, the better. Now, we've recorded with hundreds of customers from over 20 countries, so we're pretty sure we can help you create something magical. You can find out all the info you need at folklory.com, along with examples and reviews from our previous customers. The link is in the show notes, so please check it out. And now, on to the podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man. How has the week been?
Yesterday was like one of the hottest days I remember. I've remembered in a while already.
Yeah.
Did you feel it?
Wait, there was one day when the last time we were in the office, I think Monday.
Okay.
I remember I was walking across the road with Tristan after the studio and like there was no clouds in the sky.
Oh, yeah.
So probably the same yesterday lah.
But yesterday was muggy. It was like
But yesterday it rained.
It rained, but after the rain, once the rain stopped, it just like everything just like shut down. Like no wind, no air movement, nothing. Yeah, I was just melting, you know. And even in the aircon room, I felt hot and all.
Yeah, something else also shut down at the middle of the day lah.
You mean the Pritam Singh trial? Yeah.
Which we wanted to go for.
We were there. We got there early. We got tickets and everything. And we basically got stood up at the altar lah.
Yeah, man. Stood up at the altar. I mean, hopefully the lawyer, you know, he's feeling better today.
My boy, Juma boy.
Yeah. The chat of the internet right now.
Yeah.
But it really struck me that being a lawyer in court, deciding the fate of people's lives is just another job lah.
Why did it surprise you or anything?
Because to take MC from court proceedings and have everyone stop because you're on MC, I never would have thought that's possible.
Correct. I also thought that because I was like, let's say you were, even if you were directing or you know, acting in something, if you felt that you were going to fall sick or something, usually you would like a couple hours before the shoot starts, you would like be telling people, hey, I might be falling sick lah, right? Maybe this today can't happen. So I was very surprised because everyone was there already, the judge, the legal teams, Pritam Singh.
Maybe he was trying lah. He was really trying, you know.
But what? I mean, we can't speculate, but like...
Because I think 10:45, Pritam and Co arrived at the court. By 11:45, the hearing had not started yet. And by 12:28, they made the announcement that, you know, the trial has been adjourned lah.
Yeah. Or maybe he was at a doctor lah. Because what I understand
maybe.
What I understand is like to get MC from having to appear in court, especially for people who are accused, the standard is higher for MCs. Like doctors will be more careful about exactly what you can or can't do.
Also, they won't just ask, so you need MC for today?
You can't probably can't teleconference. Probably can't do a 5-minute teleconference on
what,
doctor
I give
anyway.
You 2 days? 2 days I give you?
You got probably, I think it has to be a bit more comprehensive and everything. So maybe in that sense, there's a procedure he has to follow before they can decide whether he can or can't appear in court.
Correct. And maybe he wanted, you know.
Maybe.
I mean, we don't know. I
mean, the chat energy.
Giga chat.
Wants to be there.
Giga chat. So that didn't happen. Maybe the weather. The weather also took him down, man.
I think everybody was shocked by how hot it was yesterday.
It's the midweek.
Happens, you know, I mean, it happens that we sometimes get stood up for these kind of things also.
Yeah.
Sometimes stood up on payments for our TV shows that we've completed. Sometimes stood up from days in court. It happens.
And sometimes stood up by teammates who put the wrong timing for event that we're supposed to attend to.
Correct.
Which happened last night.
That was on you. That
was on me. Fully on me. Fully on me. I created a Google Calendar invite, which is what, our team uses.
No, the best part, you created a Google Calendar invite and then you rejected. You rejected your invite yourself. Everyone else that was invited turned up at the supposed event that was not supposed to be this week.
And
that was me. That was me.
That was you and Tristan. Yeah. So I did feel really bad. Okay, I did feel really bad. Especially because, I'm pretty okay with this kind of stuff, right?
This kind of stuff meaning what?
Like scheduling the events on time and correct dates and all.
Depends.
Hey.
I mean, now you're because you got dad brains and everything.
I really think so, man. But I don't want to say it. I don't want to be like
cognitive decline as you approach your middle age. I
would like to think it's more the temporary dad brain thing. But I don't want to say, sorry.
Maybe it comes together. Together.
Can you imagine how annoying I'll be? Sorry, Terence Tristan, dad brain. And that's all I say.
No, but as long as there's a sorry, the contrition, I think that's important.
Yeah, but I won't say dead brain. I will try not to. I'm just sorry. Whether I got dead brain or not is my mistake.
I think it's okay to be forgiving when people tell you that because it's real, right?
Yeah.
I think it's like now that you are there and you understand the kind of sleep deprivation you go through. It's different from the sleep deprivation in the army. It's different from sleep deprivation from work. It's a different kind of sleep deprivation that really can take its mental toll on you. And so someone says dad brain, I'm like, okay.
But can you imagine it reaches the point where I type dad, it auto-completes dad brain?
Oh, you are there already?
No, I'm not there. I'm not there. Okay. So that was a thing. Happens.
Yeah. See, I don't judge. You see, I don't. I think there's a difference in you and me. Last time you damn judgy about these kind of things. I don't like. I'm not.
No. See, that's what annoys me also because it's almost like, I had the benevolence to not judge you now while you didn't back then.
Yeah. It's just about being empathetic towards.
That makes me more annoyed that I made a mistake like that. I was like, fuck. Then Terence is going to have his moral high ground for the whole of tomorrow. And be like, it's okay, Harish, that brain.
See, this entire exchange was about how two people were heavily inconvenienced last night, and somehow it comes back to how you feel about it, how you were impacted by the feeling of it, That's what I meant by self-centeredness.
No. I'm impacted by your response now. The whole of last night, I was sitting at home telling my wife, how could I make such a mistake, to disadvantage my two dear teammates.
Correct.
There's only so much I can apologize on WhatsApp.
But I wasn't expecting a lot. I was like, I just texted back, okay lah. Look at me, I'm eating a burger alone at McDonald's.
You sent a photo of that.
Staring at my samurai burger alone.
You sent a photo also.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's okay.
It's okay.
Don't read too much into it. It's not a dig at anybody.
I won't. But yeah. So that was Tuesday night, now Wednesday.
Yeah. Correct. But before we jump to things, I think we do our usual spiel of asking people to like, share, follow, subscribe. But I think this time I just want to do something a bit different where we ask people to also like, share, follow, subscribe our other podcast that we're doing now called Tell You First, right? Because I think the responses have been very great. People have been commenting and listening to it. The numbers are looking good and all. But we want to see more people rate the series, do something.
That means on Spotify.
On Spotify, leave a rating or leave a comment or something if you're enjoying what you're listening to in the series. Because those are more evergreen topics that, we don't necessarily talk about all the time. But it's very dear. There are a lot of topics that are dear to our hearts. And this week, I was listening to the episode you did with Ray on Deepavali. And it was quite telling one person was just very green in the topic, and the other person was an expert. I did research. Yeah, exactly. And I still came off as the greener one. So as a Chinese person, it was very apparent, right? When you say someone is of certain ethnicity, there are levels to it, right?
There are levels. There are levels to it. I wholeheartedly agree. He made me look bad. He made me look bad as the host.
Yeah. So, but for the effort, I think people should just try and follow the series.
But still entertaining, right?
Entertaining.
And I mean, other topics we talk about is like the long hair ban, the Koro crisis. The history of beer in Singapore. And I mean, it's like a 30-minute episode, same style. You don't have to, it's evergreen, so you can listen in your own time.
Yeah, and I'm sure some of the things that we talk about, but we'll go into maybe future seasons or anything, or Tell You First, because we talk about issues and that are really impactful in Singapore's history as well.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking of future seasons, that's why we need your help to leave a rating. Just give it a listen, because those sort of numbers really help us get a future season.
Right.
Yeah, so it's called Tell You First. You can find it on Spotify, Me, Listen, every podcast platform.
Right? Yeah, that's right.
Cool, and the link is in the show notes.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll leave it at that. The main spiel today is Tell You First.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
Sweet.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
The first big topic we're going to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Since we were on the topic of people being self-centered and all that, right? So here we are again.
Whoa.
What? Is that Google listening in to our conversation?
Yeah.
Scary.
Yes, it is a recent social media post by Lee Hsien Yang, son of the late ex-PM of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, that talked about him having become a political refugee from Singapore under the 1951 UN Refugee Convention. So apparently he sought asylum protection in 2022, and apparently now he's a refugee.
He's been granted asylum.
He's been granted political asylum, and he's based in the UK. So that was a social media post, I think, on Instagram and on Facebook, where he put a picture of the 1951 UN Refugee Convention.
That's right.
A bunch of people signing the documents. But since then, there have been a lot of articles, not just from Singapore, but from around the world, kind of talking about this. And I mean, the response from Singapore has generally been like, there is no basis for his allegation that he's been persecuted, which is what he sought asylum from. And that, he's free to come back to Singapore. There's no legal restraints on him coming back. Him and his wife are coming back. And just even a government response to inquiries from The Guardian, the publication in the UK, kind of very methodological, very carefully, methodically rebutting a lot of the claims and questions from The Guardian, which is 12 pages long. So, I mean, it's restarted the whole conversation around 38 Oxley. But what made you want to talk about this?
I think this is especially recently with Dr. Lee Wei Ling's passing, right? The daughter of Lee Kuan Yew as well. This issue has been brought back into the limelight because I think it accelerates the decision-making process, right? Or at least is a milestone in the decision-making process of what the Singapore government should do with regards to Lee Kuan Yew's house at Oxley Road. So a lot of attention is on that and the actions of Lee Hsien Yang during the funeral of Lee Wei Ling. So I don't know if you remember, there was a lot of scrutiny on the fact that Lee Wei Ling had a wake, right? And Lee Hsien Loong and Ho Ching arrived at the wake but left after 15 minutes. And a lot of people are questioning, wow, how come the eldest brother in the family only comes to his sister's wake for 15 minutes? And I think there were further details that there was a private funeral that apparently I think it was closed off. That means I don't think Lee Hsien Loong was allowed to go there or anything. So it's just the whole family squabble has come into public again. And now with Lee Wei Ling's passing, Singapore government has to make a decision about Oxley Road. And then now, I mean, this new development of Lee Hsien Yang now gaining asylum in the UK and essentially saying things about Singapore, right, to the UK press.
That he's been persecuted.
He's been persecuted, and Singapore is like some kind of paradise, but it actually isn't.
His son also has been persecuted.
Yeah, his son also has been persecuted. So, just further chapters in the whole Lee Oxley drama, right? Yeah.
And I mean, just to give a high-level overview of 38 Oxley Road, basically, 38 Oxley Road, it was home to Lee Kuan Yew and his family since the 1960s, 70s. And apparently, the founding fathers of the People's Action Party met there a lot. So, a lot of the controversies and the discussions about whether or not it should be demolished or not is what Lee Kuan Yew apparently wished for and what is being done after he passed away. So apparently Lee Kuan Yew publicly expressed desire for the house to be demolished. But over time, he actually sent letters to the cabinet which are signed by him, agreeing to preserve it under conditions if necessary. But in his final will, he reiterated that it should be demolished. But there was some contention because the second to last will didn't have that clause. And that's why there was the Lee Hsien Yang's wife, Lee Swet Fen, who was a lawyer, who apparently had something to do with the will, was accused of, not practicing her legal practice in a proper way. And Lee Hsien Yang and her were investigated in 2022, but declined to be part of the investigations and fled to the UK. So I think this 38 Oxley Road came to the limelight again in 2015, essentially. This whole drama after Lee Kuan Yew passed on. And Dr. Lee Wei Ling, the late sister of Lee Hsien Loong, together with Lee Hsien Yang, accused Lee Hsien Loong of misrepresenting their father's wishes. And there was this one I totally forgot, that there was a ministerial committee set up in 2017 to explore options. And there were 3 options suggested: retaining the whole house, preserving just the basement, or demolishing it. And the basement because the dining room is there. And the committee left the decision for a future government because Dr. Lee was still living in the house at the time. So now that she's passed on, Lee Hsien Yang said he wants to submit a proposal to have it demolished. But right now, the government, all they're saying is that they will carefully consider.
That's right.
Because, Lee Hsien Yang is now the sole legal owner. So, I mean, there's a lot that is being discussed. Lee Hsien Yang feels like he's going all out. But I know you have your own thoughts about whether this house should be demolished or not.
Correct.
Which are what?
I mean, I think part of the reason that Lee Kuan Yew wanted the house demolished was that he has a disdain for, the cult of personality, right? Where you worship someone and that someone becomes bigger than the country or the idea, right? Because that will remind you of dictatorships like in North Korea and other places, right? So I think he didn't want that. He didn't want monuments to dead leaders, basically. In some sense, his wish for it to be demolished ultimately is a private citizen's wish, right?
Of his own home.
His own home. And yes, he was the founding father and all that, but something like wanting to demolish your own property or that, it's a very private decision you make, right? And in some sense, the Singapore government, or at least the government of the day, has seen value. They see value in preserving the house, whether as a monument or whatever it is. They see a value in preserving the house in some way, shape or form. And so essentially you're saying that there's a private citizen's wish for the house to be demolished, and there's a government's assessment that it could be of public interest or value to Singapore, right? And if those two things clash, in what instance do we say that the private citizen's wish is more important than what the government thinks about things, right? If it was any other private citizen, everyone would just be like, just follow what the government says, The private citizen shouldn't have a say in what the government thinks is important.
Because even if you buy a freehold property in Singapore, technically there is a law that the government can claim it back.
Can buy it back,
Buy it back.
Essentially.
But if they don't buy it back?
It's essentially like forced repossession, right? In some ways, right? So I think ultimately, if the government choosing to preserve it, to me, is a form of respecting Lee Kuan Yew's wish that we don't deify dead leaders. You know what I mean? In the sense that you don't see that just because that was his wish before he passed and all that, that now we must follow his wish to the T, right? Especially because he's passed away. He was a great leader when he was alive, but he's passed away already, and we should really be looking at what's in the interest of Singapore. And if the interest of Singapore is to build some kind of monument, or to even we're not sure, but even if it becomes some kind of attraction or what for tourists or something like that, then that's the government's prerogative, right? And should we be giving any single individual the authority to tell the government what to do? I don't think we should, So paradoxically, I think in trying to respect Lee Kuan Yew's wishes, it would mean that the government should be given free rein to do what they want in the place, There's my perspective on it.
Maybe he was playing 4D chess, you know, like thinking that I will tell them that I want it to be demolished, but I also tell them to not worship past leaders.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's like a crux, it's like stall, you know.
Correct.
The loading thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, because they are, and this is completely separate kind of example, right? But if you go to Berlin, for example, it's very hard to find it's very hard to find the exact spot where the bunker was where Hitler killed himself at the end of near the end of the war, right? But I've actually gone to where I thought the place was and tried to look for some kind of plaque or something that just says it, but I couldn't find it. It's that obscure, right? But there is a plaque there. I wouldn't know whether it's to commemorate or what, but there is a plaque there just saying that this historical event occurred, right? So they recognize that as dark a part of our history as that was, it was a significant historical event that happened here, and we don't celebrate it, we don't worship Hitler or anything, but we have something there that indicates that this is the place where something historic occurred, right? In that sense, this for Oxley, that's what it could be also. It might not be a monument, but it might be something that just says that this was an important place where something occurred, and we're going to just leave it as it is and you know, so that we don't destroy the memories or build over it and build some condo over it or something like that. So I think it can be done where you don't end up like, you know, building this giant monument to glorify your dead leaders also.
Yeah. So it means you are open to having it kind of like partly demolished or something.
Yes, I am. If that's what the government of the day that the people voted for, if that's the decision of the government, then I think it's okay.
So not to say demolish it fully or anything.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, if the government wants to demolish it fully, go for it. Yeah.
So for me, I actually think maybe it's also a build-up of just getting sick of this shit. And like, it really like this kind of like family squabble. Now it's reached a family squabble point.
Yeah.
I almost feel like they should demolish it just to get over it.
Just to get over the whole family squabble.
Yeah, okay. So on one hand, you know, we always say that like we also cannot be so, yes, we need to respect the founding history of Singapore, but we cannot be hanging on to the past, right?
Why cannot?
Yeah, because I mean like it's never, you also need to acknowledge that times have changed, we have moved on. I feel you can respect the past without kind of being beholden or hanging on to it.
So let's say, okay, example, demolishing the old National Library building to build the SMU Law School and everything. That one is holding on to the past if you don't demolish it.
But this one, like, what are they holding on to in this case? The founding place of like the PAP. To me, the National Library, there's a lot more to it. There's architectural merit, architectural significance, and it was something that really was used by the masses, you know. And I mean, it's also like the having a varied architecture as opposed to some grey behemoth is two very different things, Whereas this one is like the property of an individual and a family versus the library, which was never private property.
Correct.
Right. It was kind of like government property, So in this case. And I mean, there's already so much talk about the Founders Memorial.
Yeah.
So for me, the best balance, maybe not demolish it and have a condo built, but just have like what you said, you know, something, this was the place where, but I think like leaving it in its current state also doesn't seem like the best, because then this whole squabble now is almost impacting the things that are happening in Singapore. Is using government resources to form committees.
Yeah.
There's so much discussion about it. When the PDF came out by Sudhir, there was time in Parliament spent on it.
Yeah.
And me, I'm like, oh my God, when are we going to move on from this?
But maybe that's the thing, right? Like it's such a Singaporean thing to let's move on from this. Let's let go. Why hold on to the past? Let's just move on and everything. When all these things can have architectural or historical value to people. Say for example, Leonardo da Vinci, right? He's Italian, right? Wasn't he? He was Italian, right? Yeah. But he died in France, and the place where he lived until he died in France now is a tourist attraction. Yeah. I've been there myself, and I've seen, and it's basically this like sprawling private castle and everything. And they tell you, oh, this is what he did in this house and in that house, and the significance of, towards the end of his life, what he was reflecting on. He wrote about these things and those things. And it added a lot of color to his life, right? And it showed you that, I think he had quite a pained existence until his death, right? I think there were some squabbles he was having with institutions and things like that, and they, they had an exhibition and everything that talked about these things. So you learn a lot about the history of the place.
Yeah.
It's a tourist attraction that draws international visitors to come.
Yeah.
Imagine if like back then they said, "Oh yeah, this Da Vinci, he died already. Why can't we just move on from him? He painted Mona Lisa, everything, but let's just move on. He didn't paint the Mona Lisa here. Let's move on from there."
But that one also has very different context, right? Being a political leader.
Yes.
So I'm still saying like, not forget the past. I'm saying you respect and honor the past. But like to leave it just in its current state also feels like it's not doing what how it's not doing what it could do to really honor the things that happened there. But I think just like by keeping it as a like that logic of like we are following his wishes to not deify political leaders by going against his will, that to me is like, but that should not be part of the discussion. It should be, okay, what is in the best interest of Singapore?
Correct.
It's almost like whatever he wish, yes, that's one thing. And when I say best interest in Singapore, it's also how this is like a never-ending like a spiral of like almost like a family petty issue.
But maybe that's the difference. For you, what's in the best interest of Singapore is to move beyond this family squabble and all that, right? For me, what's in the best interest of Singapore is to just dismiss whatever that family squabble is and focus on like what in the 1,000 years from now, if someone wants to come to Singapore and understand more about Singapore and how it's founded, all that, there's the not say monument. There's a place that they can go. They might not even know what happened with Oxley Road. They might never know 1,000 years from now, But there's this place where they know that, the founding prime minister lived here, and the founding of Singapore was a lot of the things were set up here, right? And so, that to me, when I compare the two, which one is better for Singapore, I feel that the latter is more important.
That means like to really have it as a memorial place and almost like not just leave it as a house lah.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm with you on that also. And I mean, for people who are new to here, don't think I'm not a sentimental person.
But you just said you want to demolish the whole thing so you can move past it. That's what you said.
When I say demolish, it is really, if you leave it in its current state and just leave it untouched and say that's the place where it was born, I don't think it's doing a best job for the memory as well.
Okay.
Because I do feel that things should be preserved and stories and impactful moments should be preserved.
Yeah.
But leaving it as a house like that just because we don't want to demolish it, I feel it's not the best. So for me, it's that middle ground, You can demolish certain parts of it, but that dining room and you really create like a museum,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe our views are also tainted by how it looks now. Like you drive past it now, it's
very closed up,
Yeah, it's got the fences and like guardhouse. It's very like fortified, because they were afraid of assassination attempts and all. Fine. Maybe they get rid of all of that. Actually, the interior of the house, I believe it's
probably still
quite nice. Like the old photos that you see of Lee Kuan Yew with his family and all that, they got like nice sprawling garden and dogs and things like that. So I feel like it could be interesting even for Singaporeans to actually see the place for themselves inside the interior of the place, and a lot of people say that this one is like the government of the day using it as a means to rah-rah Singaporeans to support a particular political party and all. But history is history, right? And history. Our history is that the PAP was the party that founded Singapore and built up Singapore that way, right? So we can't hide from that history, but we have to. I mean, even if something is built, I agree that we shouldn't go overboard, right?
Yeah.
It should not be this, like giant tower with like 3 lights shining up or anything like that, signifying our link to Lee Kuan Yew in the sky or anything like that. That would be a bit much.
At the same time, it also shouldn't just be left in its original state just because we cannot touch it. I think it's not doing a service to remembering very, very important events.
But refurbish, okay.
Yeah, refurbish. Then that one I'm okay. Yeah. I'm not saying like demolish completely, remove existence.
Yeah.
I'm saying it is a very significant, it plays a significant role in our history.
Correct. Yeah.
And we should try to remember it. But leaving it in just like that and not touching it because, we want to go against, we want to do exactly what Lee Kuan Yew was saying. Don't deify, and we hold our ground. I don't. But which is not what I think you're saying, I don't think you're saying that, right? You're saying like we still honor it,
Yeah.
Right. So I'm also not saying demolish the whole thing and build something over it.
Yeah.
I'm saying remember it, but in a way that, like right now, it feels like there's this impasse. Nothing is being done because maybe it's just really the government just taking a stand and finally saying conclusively what they're going to do and what they're not going to do.
Yeah.
Feels like there hasn't really been something like that, right?
It requires a bold act of leadership.
Yeah.
Right?
Because even the last committee in 2017, their end conclusion was that here are three options, but it'll depend on the government or the future.
Yeah.
So at some point, maybe once the government takes a stand and makes it clear, then I agree. All these other family squabbles around it, we don't need to bother. But now it feels like that is influencing the government's decision.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like then it's just wasting time.
Yeah, I also don't like the shadow of like this conflict.
Yeah.
The fact, the assembly is still in the cabinet and there's this conflict there. His brother keeps going on BBC and calling out Singapore for all sorts of human rights violations and things like that. Right?
And all the articles around the world are like making Singapore really sound like North Korea,
Correct,
That we worship our ex-dictators and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's where, so maybe that's the crux of it. Right now, the government needs to take a stand.
Yeah.
I don't know which government will take a stand. I don't know when they will do it.
Yeah.
It probably will have some political impact, right? So, and now it's just like stuck there, which is damn annoying.
Yeah. But part of it also, for me also, part of it comes from, I feel in Singapore, we, very quick to demolish old structures and buildings when we feel that they've run their course or they're of no further significance economically to people. But I think in more recent years, there's a recognition that a lot of these old buildings, architecturally and culturally and historically have some significance. And I think there's been more efforts to try and preserve parts of certain structures and buildings to respect that, rather than just demolish wholesale saying that, it's not important to us anymore.
We recently spoke about the Lorong Buangkok lady also, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome,
But she's keeping it in its original form, right?
Yeah.
Which it's very behind the times really, right?
Yeah, which makes it very special,
Yeah.
And it's literally like the last kampung in Singapore.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Yeah. But the other thing about this also is that him seeking, Lee Hsien Yang seeking refugee status, right? Or at least asylum status in the UK and everything. The last big figure from Singapore to be granted asylum overseas was Amos E himself, right? In the US. And we all know what has happened since then, right? Amos E has basically gotten in trouble with the law in the US also for essentially soliciting sex from minors, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a whole series of screw-ups that have led to him where he is now.
Yeah.
But at one point, he was also being celebrated as
speaking up against the government.
Speaking up against Singapore's draconian rules and freedom of speech and USA culture is better than Singapore and all. So in a sense, I think that whole idea of like, wow, you go overseas and you speak up against the Singapore government and wow, you're doing good and all that. I think the media also has to be a bit more careful with that kind of narrative, right? Because the last time they did something like that, a lot of them ended up with egg on their faces.
Even Charles Yeo sought a political asylum in 2022.
Yeah.
Don't know whether it's been granted. But like that whole thing about just because you speak out against the establishment in Singapore doesn't necessarily make you a hero. I think we had a chance to interact with Francis Xiao back in 2007. When we organized something when we were studying in the US for Singaporeans to come together, and he was like a maverick lawyer. In fact, he was apparently like the prodigy mentored by Lee Kuan Yew, but then they came to ends with each other, and then he was granted asylum in the US. And he became a fellow at Harvard and a lecturer, wrote multiple books, and very respected. But I don't know how much at that point in time, of course social media wasn't there, how much he would just make these claims against Singapore and all. It felt like he's an intellectual. Whereas now when you become political, what do you call it? Asylum seeker? Asylum seeker, there's no noun for it. When you become a political asylum seeker in Singapore, what does that really mean?
Correct. And I mean, Lee Hsien Yang, let's be very clear. He was also from the establishment for most of his life, right?
Yeah.
We're literally talking Brigadier General, who
CEO of Singtel.
Retired age 37, CEO of Singtel, a big, Temasek Link company and everything, right?
Yeah.
So he was from the establishment, but when he was from the establishment, we did not hear a peep about all these issues that he's bringing up now. So I think when you read what he says and what he does, all that, I think also understanding, just keeping in mind the context from which he's saying all these things, does it square with his, a long history of speaking up for human rights abusers and things like that, right? And then does he have, what is his skin in the game? Like, what's his incentive for saying these things also? I think that's important to note. I mean, obviously, it's never good that your whole family seems to be is displaced from where you all grew up and all that, right?
Yeah.
But very fortunately for them, they have the means and resources and the smarts, right, to be accepted at a lot of other places in the world that would want them as citizens, right?
Yeah.
So they're not that kind of status where if they can never return to Singapore, it's over for them, right?
Yeah, they can still...
Yeah, they're not going to be opening some convenience store in Canada or anything like that, that's for sure. They're living out the rest of their days quite comfortably also. Yeah.
And I mean, like, he's been in the news a lot, Lee Hsien Yang. Recently also, he had to make the payment of over 600,000 to Shanmugam and Vivian Balakrishnan for defamation.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. I wonder what he's going through also, because, I mean, he ran in the past 2020 election.
He didn't run.
Oh, he endorsed.
He joined PSP.
He joined, but he didn't run.
Yeah, he didn't run per se,
Yeah.
Member.
So he's been very vocal about how Singapore is losing its way, and saying we are facilitating money laundering and all. And
illegal arms dealing and all that, right?
Yeah.
I think what specifically he says, he said that I just want to be clear, there's a need for the world to look more closely to see Singapore's role as that key facilitator for arms trades, for dirty money, for drug monies and crypto money.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen after this, how this is going to unfold. I mean, he and his wife were never investigated like they were supposed to, because they fled the country. Doesn't seem like they're coming back to Singapore. Even when his sister passed on, he didn't come. Right? So, it just feels... I don't know what's the end to this.
But one thing's for sure, I think Singaporeans don't like it when media or people from Singapore go overseas and then they criticize Singapore from outside, right? That was the case with like the Michael Fay thing, and when the US media was coalescing around Singapore and not coalescing, but surrounding Singapore and pitchforks out and everything. And and in more recent times, when Chee Soon Juan also made a video asking Obama to bring like democracy to the region or something like that wasn't taken very kindly by a lot of Singaporeans also. So I'm not sure Lee Hsien Yang's actions or saying these things about Singapore in the interview necessarily will bring support to their cause, to his cause.
Yeah, I think for a while it felt like, there was sympathy and support. But now it feels like it's getting a bit like, I don't know, for me personally also, my sentiment on him and all is changing.
Yeah, it's changed.
Yeah, it's changing. Yeah, and it almost feels like, okay, what is the end goal?
Correct. Yep. What is the end goal?
What is the end goal?
Yes. But that's it. I mean, very confusing actions that political figures have been doing, right? Not just in Singapore, but also in the United States of America, the greatest country in the world, America, where Mr. Donald Trump himself, presidential candidate 2024, he did something quite interesting like a few days ago. Like, what was this that he did?
He showed up at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And, chatted with the employees and then said, he would like to serve some fries. Like use the deep fryer thing and then serve fries at their drive-thru.
Yeah.
And there was a video that was like uploaded online, I think even to his social media accounts, that showed him, using taking off his jacket, putting on the apron, putting in that iconic deep fryer, shaking the fries, using the fry sorting thing, putting into a red packet, and standing by the drive-through window and giving it to oncoming customers lah. So and he was making jibes like, I like this job, it's not too difficult, in interacting with the people. So that was uploaded, but there's also a lot of context and baggage that comes with the McDonald's and the fries serving lah.
Correct.
I mean, he's never hidden his love for McDonald's. Apparently, his favorite meal is 2 Big Macs, 2 Filet-O-Fish, and 1 chocolate milkshake or something.
And when he hosted a sports team for lunch,
he ordered McDonald's.
At the White House when he was president, he ordered a full stack of McDonald's, a whole table. You can DIY, just grab yourself.
So I mean, he loves McDonald's, but it was, I think, maybe 2 weeks ago at a campaign visit. 2 weeks. He went on the onslaught to troll Kamala Harris because she has talked about working at McDonald's over summer when she was younger. But Trump, if you see the clip, right, he just went on and on about like how that is a lie and she has never worked there, and how he'll be going to McDonald's in a few weeks' time, and even if he works there for 30 minutes, he would have worked more than Kamala Harris ever did So, and then he went to serve fries So in some way, this is like a very explicit jab at Kamala Harris and all she's saying about having worked at McDonald's, understanding what people who are having to work, minimum wage are going through. But Trump did this
correct.
And I mean, there's been a lot of talk about it
Correct. And memes and funny things that come out of it
but what have you seen that tickled you?
I mean, the fact is that like I think you studied in the US also. You know that the McDonald's in the US, at least fast food restaurants and all that, right? They're not all the same. Some of them are a lot grimier and a lot shadier, in much shadier communities than others. Whereas in Singapore, when you think about McDonald's, you're thinking it's probably at the mall. It might be, at a park or something. In fact, like I think in my mind, the most beautiful McDonald's in the world is at Bishan Park. It's really it's really smack in the middle of like Bishan Park. It's damn beautiful and the views and everything are amazing. But that aside, the McDonald's in the US, every time I remember going to McDonald's in the US, it's really like not a very pleasant kind of experience, right?
I mean, because you're, specifically talking about the McDonald's that was on our university campus, right?
In Philadelphia.
I don't know how it is in other parts of the US, but I can't imagine it being very different.
It's similar. New York also and everything,
Oh yeah, in New York also.
So it's just, they're really quite grimy. There's even crime that happens in the McDonald's itself. There's a lot of whether it's people taking drugs or whatever in the McDonald's as well and things like that.
It's like KTV in Singapore, that kind of like grimy,
dirty vibe.
But then over there is McDonald's.
So when you really talk about fast food, you really just go there, grab your food and go. It's not like Singapore where you hang out and you study. Even dates. People go on dates in McDonald's. Right?
People set up their laptops at McDonald's.
In the US, the US, no, man. You put anything on the table, you turn around, it's gone already. So, him going to a McDonald's in the US is quite a big, I guess in that sense, it's quite a big thing because the McDonald's is considered like really not a place that you really want to dine at if you had a choice, right? So it's just seeing him do this is quite like this is really a very grand wayang for someone of his stature and of how he perceives himself. So I think that context is important for people here in Singapore to also understand.
But every politician, every country, there's a certain level of wayang they have to do.
Correct, yes.
You think politicians really like to hold babies that much?
No, you're right. But I would say that, okay, let's say like our minister going to a hawker center and all that. I think it's better than going to a McDonald's in the US, to be honest.
Why? Because
the hawker center, it's not as clean and everything, but the food is actually really good. And the experience is like everyone enjoys it, right? Most people enjoy the good food and a very communal kind of eating experience. Whereas the McDonald's in the US, when you go there, I always feel like, I hope I don't get shot,
True, but then if you think about it, like everybody enjoys hawker food and all. But apparently, like every day, like even today, 1 in 13 Americans will have eaten at McDonald's.
Correct, yes.
So that's like what, 8% of the population eat at McDonald's. Which is a huge amount. So whether people like it or not, it still is part of their
It's part
the daily life of a lot of people, right?
It's part of their social fabric, right?
Yeah. So I mean, like what you said, maybe people go in and come out, but they might still love McDonald's. You know?
Maybe.
Yeah,
there's kind of emotional attachment to it.
Yeah, emotional attachment.
Yeah.
And I mean, even McDonald's came out and said they did not organize this because the way they work is on a franchise model, and apparently 95% of all McDonald's are franchised. In Singapore, there's a master franchisor. So maybe that's why they have a certain consistency in like quality and all. Who knows? But in the US, every McDonald's, 95% of all McDonald's operates on its own. So even this one, apparently the franchisee got contacted like a few weeks prior that Trump is going to come. We need to do additional security. And he said, yeah, just come.
Yeah.
So McDonald's wasn't even aware that Trump would be visiting.
Yeah. And they did not keep the store open. They did close. They closed the store for those few hours that he was there.
Yeah.
And they pre-screened the customers that will come through the drive-in and everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that it would be a very good photo opportunity for Trump.
Because I remember the drive-in. The first family was white. Second family white. Third family white.
And blonde. Some of them blonde.
Blonde. Then I was like, oh. I mean, I would have thought there'd be some diversity. Then the next family is black. Then the next family is Indian. So confirm got screening and all that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like every time I see politicians, even in Singapore, there's a certain level of wayangness.
Correct. But I think when because we all know Trump's personality also, right? You would never. I mean, he's a guy who
he's a germaphobe. Is it?
Born with a silver spoon, right?
Yeah.
You know, like a millionaire at birth already. So definitely, I mean, if he enjoys eating McDonald's, he's not the one like probably queuing up to buy it or anything like that. Like it's his minions who buy it for him, like. So it was I think it's like quite a big thing to see him actually serving McDonald's. But I think that what you say is true, that McDonald's is such a big part of the social fabric of America. There are people who will see this and think, oh my God, wow, he's such a man of the people.
Yeah.
Right.
He went behind the counter.
Yeah. Kamala Harris just talks about it, but who actually verifies what she says is true? And he himself said that she's lying, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, he has one-upped her by being the first one to work at McDonald's.
And it wasn't just like going to McDonald's just out of the blue. It's because there was that thing that Kamala Harris was saying, and he rebutted her at a rally and said stuff that, I mean, it's so damn easy for him to lie.
Yeah. Correct.
Right. He just to say already this is a lie and that's why the media outlets are not writing about it.
Yeah.
In that moment, if you're attending the campaign, you might believe him. And that's his superpower.
Correct.
So when he went to McDonald's, first of all, there's wayang. But second of all, it is a direct jab at Kamala Harris. So you can imagine his hardcore fans are probably like, walao, he just dropped the mic, man.
And not just at Kamala Harris. He said, like Bill Clinton, I think during the Democratic convention as well, his speech, he had a line where he said, at last she'll break my record as the president who has spent the most time at McDonald's.
Oh.
Because Bill Clinton also was known to like to eat McDonald's. But Harris was the one who said she worked at McDonald's. So in this one swift action, like Trump is
just
laying a smackdown on Harris, on Tim Walsh, and then also now on Bill Clinton also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's it's quite shrewd move.
And so another fun fact, apparently the McDonald's that he went to, they actually failed their last health inspection on March 27th. Where they said employees were not having hands cleaned and properly washed and all that.
Yeah.
But that then again shows that every McDonald's operates like on its own thing.
Yeah.
They have certain processes, they have certain equipment standardized, but I think how it's run, it's up to the franchisee.
Yeah. But I mean, so for McDonald's, you think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
I would say, if I had to say, I mean, it'll be good. No, I think it'll be very good for one half of the US.
Yeah.
But bad for the other half.
Yeah.
But then it'll cancel each other out, I think.
Correct. Yeah.
Because as much as they put out a statement saying that they do not endorse any candidates for elected office, they are not political. How many people will actually see that memo?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The image is like, oh shit, he went to McDonald's. McDonald's must have been involved.
Yeah. It's an icon. Yeah.
For the people who hate him, there might be cause of boycott. But the people who love him, they'll be like, why order Burger King or anything? Yeah.
Because remember, like, McDonald's in recent times also had faced issues of boycotts and all that, especially with regards to, I think the franchise operator in Israel was offering discounts to soldiers and security forces after October 7th. And then because of that, many customers started to boycott McDonald's.
Internationally, right?
In Muslim-dominated countries, including Malaysia as well, right?
Indonesia also.
Yeah. So, and that was a big drag on their earnings, right?
Yeah.
So, even though is their own franchise, the franchisee who made the decision, but it has an overall effect on the global franchise also, the global property. So I think they have to be quite careful, right?
Do you think people will want to boycott McDonald's after this?
I mean, Trump has quite a steady base of supporters, right?
Yeah.
And I think even you and I, right, we're not involved in this American election, but Trump going to McDonald's it's something that we talk about, right? And we share memes, and like, if you like, they're sharing memes or everything, like they're equating it to the bear. They're bringing all these other shows and properties and talking about Trump at McDonald's, and it created a meme, and there's a lot of funny memes coming up and all that, right?
Yeah.
That it actually, I think overall for the brand, it's like a lot of visibility, right?
And I mean, like, it fits Trump's brand also because red, right?
Yeah.
There's so much red in McDonald's.
Yeah.
The MAGA hat and all that.
Yeah. And people are now like, I think he's selling merch like that says
he's
MAGA.
Selling merch.
Yeah. His website was selling merch saying MAGA Donald's. And things like that,
Yeah.
So they're really milking. And I mean, everyone knows he eats a lot of McDonald's. And I mean, if you having your, ex-president or potential future president endorse your product as all-American also.
Yeah.
Can't be too bad a thing,
Yeah. Right. So this one, I mean, that's his power, like knowing how to play the media.
He does, yeah.
And doing this and like, I mean, we saw in the past also, right? Like when he ran against Hillary Clinton, the Democrats will always take, the high road, the intellectual, we be better people. Whereas he just does this kind of shit.
This kind of shit everyone talks
about.
It
works. Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time in recent weeks Kamala Harris dominated the news?
Right? There's been a bit of and there's a lot of rhetoric around how she seems to be losing momentum. At least, like, it appears like people are starting to compare her to Hillary Clinton in 2016,
Like peak, but then after that go down. Whereas Trump is just doing shit like this.
Yeah, correct. But yeah, so I mean, for you, will you still eat at McDonald's after seeing this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You?
I just ate it last night.
That's true. I just had it on Sunday at breakfast.
Yeah. Give me the samurai burger anytime, it doesn't need to be served by Trump. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, if anything, Trump is the embodiment of what, the McDonald's, the American thing is, right? This whole like land of possibility, anyone can get rich kind of thing, and always talking about money and all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it actually ties in
with
very
McDonald's
much with their brand, right?
Why? McDonald's is not about the American dream or anything.
In some ways, the model of McDonald's as well, the franchisee model, and spreading so fast across the world.
Or participate in our dream, join us.
Yeah. It sort of has gone in parallel with how America has become the cultural force of the world.
But don't you see McDonald's in Singapore as a totally different brand from McDonald's?
I do. Yeah, I do. That's what we talked about earlier. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, like McDonald's US, is almost like two different brands.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, McDonald's Singapore feels a lot more wholesome.
Yeah, family, studying, first or second dates.
Got McCafe.
Yeah. Late
is there
night.
McCafe in the US?
No, not in the sense, not the way it is in Singapore.
I mean, McCafe last time, the Himalayan spiced tea, shocks,
Yeah. I would say every couple at some point or another has had at least one date in the McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I know, now whenever my wife and I send off a friend or something, right, at the airport, go McDonald's breakfast.
Yeah, breakfast,
solid.
There's something about the breakfast also that, I mean, maybe also linked to my childhood. I remember going for breakfast at McDonald's on certain weekends on Sundays. And it always just felt like, wow, it's such a special thing. And then, there was the McDonald's parties. Oh, yeah, the parties. I don't know if they have those kind of things in the
parties.
Last time they would have spaces where you could have birthday parties at McDonald's.
Oh yeah.
There was now a bit less, but you can still actually do it. I've attended people who have had kids parties at McDonald's in recent years. So yeah. So you can still do it depending on the individual franchisee.
Then got salads. McDonald's got salads in Singapore.
Salads, corn cup.
Go to the US, I know I went a long time ago, but I can't imagine it being a wholesome experience.
It's not. So it is a completely separate thing.
Yeah, it's a completely separate thing.
Remember the McDonald's at East Coast Park and everything?
Yeah, where you can people rollerblade in and stuff like that.
Then when it shut down and people were so sad and they went to take photos and recreated their wedding shots and things like that. Yeah. You're not going to hear of that in the US.
Singapore would probably be like memorials at McDonald's where someone got shot or something.
Yeah. Singapore.
US.
The US,
US.
US is scarier, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe like it's always two different brands lah. It's two different brands.
Correct.
Yeah, but wow. Trump.
Yep.
Oh well.
But yeah, that is the state of the world today. What is your one Shiok comment?
One Shiok Thing. One Shiok comment first. Oh wait, do you have yours?
I would need to pull mine up.
I will pull mine up as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I think mine actually is from the most recent episode when we talked about the Pritam Singh trial. And yeah, there's a lot excuse me. There's a lot of interesting comments, but some I think Marty, a long time listener also has said that I'm a big fan of Terrence's shirts, very tropical. Harish seems to go for the simple look, just plain black t-shirt. And then, he wonders if Yalabak can have a third host, a three-man show. Maybe I can also be there. But I mean, the point he was making that, people like my shirts very much. Whereas Harish just goes for the plain black shirt thing.
Plain black shirt.
And then some of the replies are, Harish is going for billionaire vibes like Mark Zuckerberg.
Then Terrence going for what?
No.
Okay.
Nothing that they didn't say. Then they say, he probably needs a silver chain to accessorize. So is that why you're going for the billionaire Mark Zuckerberg vibe?
Not really. It's just like I don't have like the thing that about black t-shirts, which I know someone we know who's in fashion told me way back. He said if you don't have like a big variety of like shirts with designs, right? Yeah. It's gonna be tough because people will remember. The best thing you do if you don't want to spend too much time in fashion is just solid colors. Yeah. So that's my approach generally lah.
I see.
Yeah.
You're not trying to emulate a man crush Zuckerberg or something. But I think Zuckerberg has evolved from that already.
Oh yeah, now he got like fuckboy clothing and all.
He got his own fucking clothes. He designs his own clothes now. He wants to go into fashion. Yeah. In a recent interview where he talked about the new Meta AR glasses. He talks about Zuckerberg's shirt that his team designed for him, and he says that if I'm going to go into work with Ray-Ban and create sunglasses, I need to know something about fashion. So he's doing his own clothes. So I think he's moved away from that whole I'm only wearing one color, one shirt to be as efficient as possible.
I mean, the past few years, so he like started working out, BJJ, UFC. Yeah. I mean, he's living his best life.
Yeah. So, okay lah. I mean, you gotta cut Harish some slack. He's not trying to emulate some billionaire or anything.
Yeah, man. No. Mine is just like, I also need to update my wardrobe. I always do it in batches. Just get a bunch of stuff and keep it solid. Then I accessorize elsewhere. Otherwise, like sunglasses, shoes.
Correct.
Yeah, but no gold chain. Gold chain is a bit
too close to the bone.
No, it's also... I don't know, there's this Indian uncle vibe.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Like Indian, it's the stereotype. Don't need that.
Yeah. I mean, my shirts are, it's as you approach midlife kind of thing, right? You just want to express yourselves in louder ways. I realize. I'm totally self-aware of that. But at the same time, I'm like a bit too lazy to go and correct that.
But I would say your shirts have become like your thing.
Yeah.
In a good way.
And that's more to my family, right? My wife and all who has an eye for these things. I don't,
But that means you still have to actively think, okay, when was the last time I wore this shirt? You need to space them out.
You need to space them out.
You need to rotate.
It's quite annoying that way.
Yeah.
And then you have to just keep rotating them, and you can't wear your favorite one all the time, right? Yeah. But you can wear your favorite black shirt all the time.
But I got my favorite blue t-shirt that everybody knows that I fucking love that. But I can't wear it like every week.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about being a personality, right? On camera and all these things. Let's say the smiling afro. You're known for your afro.
Yeah, you can't cut it.
You can never change your afro.
His brand, literally,
he's stuck to it forever. Yeah, which is a good thing and bad thing, right? But beyond a certain point, what if one day you just feel like you want to change things up? You can't, right?
Yeah, then you have to rebrand.
Yeah. But for you could wear a loud shirt. I could wear a very boring shirt, and it'll still be okay, lah.
It's not a boring. It's solid color, okay? What the fuck, man? It's a solid color, okay?
Whoa.
It's the pillar of fashion,
Hit a raw nerve there.
You can't shit. I just complimented you on your shirt. You know what I'm saying? It's good. You're like, yeah, Harish, you know, your boring shirts really match. Basket.
Wow. You see how this guy is pretending like he doesn't care until you say only hit a nerve, then that's it.
I mean, it's like, who wants to think of their clothes they are known for as boring, Terrence?
Yeah. Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
Not boring.
Not boring. But yes, my one show comment is a comment on our Yalla Butt episode 577 on Reddit by a long-time commenter, Kapliskay. Long time coming, such a perceptive analysis of said topic. This was the Alliance income deal that fell through. Good catch on the alarm bells that sounded. I guess that's why we need a check and balance. Also, to add to Edwin Tong's credit, I do find a general level of confidence in SG under his leadership. There's a certain amount of shrewdness that's essential for Singapore's survival in this tough world, and we need leaders like that. But I question the timing of this intervention. Why wasn't it done earlier? Shouldn't such an important move also involve inputs from the PM? Which made me think about the public perception of Edwin Tong. I think it's pretty... I know after the COP, people were like, wow, this guy is like... But I think over the past 1 or 2 years, he's got a lot of clouds here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
At one point, you could see Lawrence Wong building up that cloud. Now, Edwin Tong, he's very visible. He's at the center of things that are pop culture, as well as big cases like this NTUC Income Alliance. I wouldn't say like I have a great level of confidence in Singapore under him, but interesting to see people so openly say that.
Yeah, and reacting to this, the MCCY's response to the Income Alliance deal.
Yeah,
different. Same event but different reactions. Very different reactions to it, lah.
Yeah.
Some people saying, "Hey, good job, government." Some people saying, "Hey, why not? Why wasn't this caught earlier?"
Yeah,
it's quite interesting. Both sides. Yeah.
So interesting. And what about your one Shiok Thing, man?
My one Shiok Thing is this YouTube channel that I just came across recently. It's called by a Dutch person called Martin Doolard. The Martin is spelled with an extra J inside there, so I think you have to look in the description if you want to find it. He's got about 750,000 subscribers on YouTube now, but his whole shtick is that he's this Dutch guy who traveled the world for a couple of years in his early 30s. And then now he just decided he bought 2 cottages at the top of some hill in some mountains in the Italian Alps. And he just spends all his time like just doing up those 2 cottages, building a small little farm there. And he makes all these videos every week, these almost hour-long videos or quite long videos, where it's just him doing stuff in the cottage.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So very cinematic.
Very cinematic. He films it very nicely, but it's really him, digging out the basement. It's him like working on the chicken coop. It's him talking about... He actually doesn't talk very much. In fact, the whole video is just watching him work in his farm. But it's just like, it's gotten like a lot of people watching. And the whole slow life...
What's his name again?
Martin Doolard, Doolaard. A lot of extra syllables because he's Dutch. So yeah, and then I think I heard about him through this other YouTuber that I talked about before, Nathaniel Drew, who interviewed him and just talked about his life, and why he chose to do this and how he does it. But there are you look
stone cabins.
Yeah. You look at the comments. There are people who they curl up with a coffee and after doing all the laundry and putting the kids to bed on a Sunday night, and then spend that time just watching him do up his cottages.
Wow. He actually finished a long distance bicycle journey from Amsterdam to Singapore.
Oh, he did? I didn't know that.
That's in his YouTube bio.
Oh, okay. But yeah, he did that. Yeah, that's why I said he's been traveling for like a couple of years and then he decided to do this. So he's already at episode 135 of this journey. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. In the Italian Alps.
That's insane, man.
His profile. He's a photographer, filmmaker, and travel writer from Netherlands. He finished 2 long-distance bicycle journeys from Amsterdam to Singapore and Vancouver to Patagonia. Currently, he is renovating and living in a remote stone cabin in the Italian Alps.
And it really is a stone cabin in just like the fucking beautiful slope.
Yeah.
Shit.
Can you imagine just doing a whole YouTube series about, you taking care of your house in Singapore and all that? Do you think it'll be as fun or well received as these stone cabins in Italy?
The BTO. Yeah. Just show the construction every day. Yeah. You sitting there having your kopi,
rolling the pineapple.
Build your house.
Today I'm going to buy a pineapple to roll into the house. Oh. Let's join me on this journey.
Also, this one comment, when the craziness of life gets too much, you get reminded of a lone Dutchman on the Italian mountains to bring a soothing pause to the hectic present.
Yeah, yeah. And his videos are long, man. Each of them 30 plus to 50 minutes thereabouts. So they're not like quick watches or anything. So it's really the slow life. Even watching it, you have to take your time and watch it.
Wow, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, Terence, embracing the slow life.
I mean, what do we have in Singapore there to embrace the slow
life?
We don't have
MRT breakdown, MRT breakdown. MRT breakdown for slow life.
MRT and wait.
Walao. But cool. My one Shiok thing was something that I remember being like a Shiok thing many years ago, which I'm sure you have seen also. It's a TED Talk by Sir Ken Robinson, late Sir Ken Robinson, titled "Do Schools Kill Creativity?"
Yes.
Because now my wife and I are thinking, like education, childcare, infant care, the merits of this and that. And I just got reminded of this talk. It's a 20-minute talk. Sir Ken Robinson, he was a British author, speaker, international advisor on education. I mean, he was knighted for his services to the arts. He passed away.
He passed away already.
Yeah, in 2020 at the age of 70. But that talk, right, I think it's one of the most watched TED Talks ever.
Yeah.
And he talks about how the education system needs to be revised to nurture rather than undermine creativity. And I mean, there's a lot of good info, but the way he delivers it, right? I mean, he's British, so the stereotypical dry British humor. There's no slides. Now TED Talk, sometimes you see the fancy slides and animations. It's just him on stage talking, and he's so captivating, right? That for 20 minutes, it'll just fly by. And yeah, I just watched it again recently, and it's like, it's worth a watch, whether or not you're a parent.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's interesting, people in the comments are pointing out that this video is 17 years old, but a lot of the things he says are still problems today.
I see.
Man.
Wow, this fatherhood really making you re-examine
a lot of things.
A lot of re-questioning a lot of assumptions that you made earlier in your life, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's I guess natural. If you're not questioning assumptions, then there's a problem.
Correct. Yeah. You need to be self-aware.
Yeah. But yeah, man.
That's
cool.
Right. Cool.
That's the episode for today.
I mean, unfortunately, this week I don't think we got time to go to Parliament again.
High Court.
Huh?
State court.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, state courts. We don't have time to go to state courts again. The one day that we had allotted for it, German boy German boy couldn't make it. So, the next time we head back to state courts, maybe it'll be another like next week or something, right?
Yeah.
It'll be a while.
But yeah, in the meantime, remember to check out Tell You First, our other podcast. There is 20, how many episodes out? 17.
No, 15, less than 15. 15 plus, I think.
15 plus. There'll be 30 episodes in total. Please do check it out. The link is in the show notes. If you enjoy Yalla But, chances are you'll enjoy that as well.
Yeah, make sure to leave a review.
Yes, on Spotify. 5-star review. Whatever you want to review, but just click. It's so easy to review. Apple as well.
That's right.
And yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to y'all soon.